All right. So this is part two because I derailed in the other video. This is Lucifer here. By the way, if it's your first time joining my channel, my name is Lucifer. I'm a spiritual and business consultant, also known as Seth. And yeah, um, I was gonna say something I forgot. Oh, and by the way, the reason why I'm doing the video here in this decor because I'm taking a break. I'm taking a short break from YouTube, not a big one, just a short one, because I gotta. I used up a lot of energy, and there's still some people trying to curse me and stuff. And because said this, that they're probably gonna try and curse me even more. Which is hilarious. Anyway, but in the real world, and not the world of the delusional and completely out of their fucking batshit mind, um, as I was saying, the story of John Domingo. The story of John Domingo is very interesting, right? He's one of the most powerful voodoo guys out there, right? And the interesting part about stories like John Domingo's stories is that these people tend to disappear, like they blow up, right? The story goes that one day he nabbed he was called the Black Constable because he used his powers to stop criminals from time to time in and around the town where he lived. Like basically he was a peacekeeper, right? So he used his voodoo powers to do all kind of voodoo things and also to fight crime from time to time. And one of these days when he was fighting crime, he nabbed two guys that was trying to steal something. I don't remember what it is, but he was trying to steal something. And somebody overheard John Domingo say, "Look at me, I am stronger than God. I'm stronger than God." Right? As soon as he said that, apparently John Domingo disappeared. Like he poof, like he just blow, like he exploded, something like that. Exploded in a ball of light, completely disappeared, bro. Most people tend to think that this is a warning for you to not go against God. First of all, I don't really believe that God um, just made him disappear, right, in front of everybody. Maybe that might be true. Maybe there might be a little bit of truth. Well, the little bit of truth that I believe in isn't there. I don't think it's God that did that. So John Domingo says he's stronger than God. Poof, he disappears. I don't know if you ever read the Necronomicon. Supposedly, it's based off a fictional story. Um, I think it's based off a real story, and the Necronomicon is actually fictitious, but it's based off of real, actual events and encounters and Sumerian stories, as you know, what's his name again? The dude that wrote it said, right? So anyway, in the Necronomicon, there is a character named Al Hazred, right? The Mad Arab, and you can. Me, I had an experience. I had an experience when I read the Necronomicon where I legit I believed it. I knew it wasn't real, but I kind of believed it, right? I was really into it, man. And because it's the story, there's the first half tells you about jinns, right? And then the second half is a whole bunch of mumbo jumbo. But the first half is very interesting, right? I'm more interested in the story than the witchcraft part. Like the story of Al Hazred seems super duper important to me, right? And I think that it's on purpose. I don't think he just pulled that out of his butt. I think he was counting a story, a mythological story about a man, in his struggles. Because Alhazred was a prince, right? And this prince had his nose cut off. He has his ears cut off. And I think he had his lips cut off too by the king because he was beautiful. He looked good. And since he looked good, the princess, the king's daughter, fell in love with him, right? And I don't even think he was a prince, but he looked very good. But he wasn't a prince, and the king didn't like the fact that his daughter was hanging around with this kid, right? So what the king did is like he cut off his nose, cut off his ears, and cut his lips, right? And I mean, there's a kind of like he kind of looks like. So basically, the guy ended up looking like Voldemort from what the fuck from what's the name of that shit again? Harry Potter, right? So that was very interesting to me that he made that correlation. I mean, why put that in the Necronomicon? Like, what was the purpose of putting that story in there, bro? Like, and the thing is, it reminds me of Harry Potter, Voldemort, and it reminds me of Medusa, the story of Medusa, right? She was very beautiful, and Athena decided to make her turn her into a monster because she was jealous of her, of Medusa, and and the same shit happens to Mr. Red, right? So ever since then, he got exiled, right, and he walked in the desert, and he basically became a jinn while he was in the desert. He became a jinn while he was in the desert, bro. He started to survive, he found a cave, whatever. Point is, at some point, when he came back from the desert after exile, he came back and he was more powerful than he ever been ever. Right? It was like he was crazy shit, like Solomon type shit, right? Like King Solomon type shit, right? Even worse. And the thing is, uh, the same shit happened to him. I think he was walking down an aisle in the market, and in the market, he said something about God, about him being greater, having a greater power than God, and boom, the same shit happens. He just disappears. And those two stories, as maybe one of them might be fictitious, or both of them might be fictitious, or both of them might be factual. Who knows? I think it's factual, and I don't think it's God that just exploded these people Quentin Tarantino style. You know what I mean? Like Kill Bill style. I don't think that's what happened. I think that's what old wives tell their sons and daughters so that they go to sleep at 9, right? So they don't, run around the house because they might end up breaking something. I think that's what's going on, right? But in actuality, there's something even more deeper and even more incredible and even more fantastical than that. I'm going to tell you what, I think that it's a metaphor for when you do actually realize that you are more powerful than this thing called God. That your mind expands when you actually believe it. That your dimension and your mind expands exponentially. So they didn't explode. They actually became more powerful. So I think they were given a reward for becoming more than God. I think when somebody, not a psychopath, not a sociopath, but somebody that's really involved in all of this shit, right? Targeted individual, dimension, magic, all that shit, right? Somebody that's really involved in all that. when he gets to a certain plateau, a certain level, and he does say and actually believes that he is better than God, that he achieves enlightenment, that he achieves like the greatest power of all time. So if that did happen, and that's actually what people saw at the fish market or at the desert market, to them it seemed like, oh, they don't know. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. So to them, in their minds, it's like, oh shit. He said it was better than God, and then he exploded. God wailed on him, man. God just swerved on the dude, right? He scurred on him, bro. Nah. These guys were in apotheosis. These guys was already on the road of becoming something. So when they had finally admitted to themselves that they were bigger than God, that they were greater than God, more powerful than God, they exploded. They expanded. They didn't explode. They just seventh dimension, eighth dimension, right? The world above the world. So John Domingo's probably watching me right now, like he's watching TV, right? Because his soul and spirit is so expended so much that it's like he's above reality. So he's watching people like he's watching like he's watching he's watching TV. Same shit with Mr. Red. The interesting part about Mr. Red is, but it could be like, it could just have been a hallucination, an audio hallucination. But I swear to God, I can hear him scream. Because the thing about Mr. Red is, the reason why they call him Mad, the Mad Arab, is because he's always screaming. And every time, like when I was in that period of reading the Necronomicon and that sort of thing, right? I could hear somebody scream in Arab and like far distance. And it's not just when I was reading the book. When I was reading the book, I could hear him scream. But at the same time, when sometimes I would watch a movie and I'd be like just thinking about him, and not in the negative way. I'm just thinking of him, right? Like, that story the other day. What an amazing story. And I would hear in the far distance like an Arab screaming, and it wouldn't scare me because I understood that's just how he talks, right? Like he just does that. Like it's not to scare people. He just does that. He's a mad Arab, right? Like, you can hear him scream from afar. You don't see him. You just hear him. Like a haunting or something. So it could be an hallucination, but it was still an interesting, it's still an interesting anecdote, So anyway, this video is too damn long. My name is Lucifer. And I see you guys on the next one. Peace out.